Hello. Today we will tell you how Cuban gold chains are made. Cuban chains became extremely popular among the Cuban community living in Miami during the 1970s and 1980s. Hence the name Miami Cuban Link. Cuban chains first came to prominence in the hip-hop scene of the 1970s. As hip-hop music grew and gained cultural popularity, Cuban chains became a symbol of luxury, wealth, and success. And today, chains are still popular with rappers like Jay-Z, who became the world's first billionaire rapper in 2019. In this video we show how two master jewelers make Cuban gold chains. One of them is large and the other is smaller for the bracelet. Although the manufacturing process is almost the same. A large yellow gold chain will cost over $100,000 and weigh about 2 kilograms. First stage. Work in all cases begins with weighing to determine the amount of pure 24-karat gold. Since the chain must be 14-karat quality, that is, correspond to 585 samples, an alloy of copper, zinc, and silver is added to the gold. The gold is cut from the ingot, and the small balls are made from a copper alloy. Thus, a mixture of 14 parts of gold and 10 parts of other metals is attained. Most of the jewelry in the world is also usually made of 14-karat gold. Due to the sheer size of the large chain, the gold for him is divided into two lots. The total starting weight of the large chain is about 3,450 grams of 14-karat gold. It's worth about $115,000 in gold alone. The reason so much gold is needed is because the weight needs to be reduced during the manufacturing process to make the chain look flatter. The second stage is the melting of gold bars. Then it's time to melt it all down in a ceramic crucible that can withstand temperatures up to 1,370 degrees Celsius, which is higher than the melting point of gold. For this, a large propane torch is used. Borax is also poured into the crucible. It is usually used as a flux for soldering metals. With its help, the surface of the metal is cleaned so that the connection is strong. Here it will help clean up the golden mixture and make it easier to melt. The burner will use a combination of natural gas and oxygen to melt the alloy. When the metal is completely melted, the gold is ready to be poured. Molten gold is poured into a cast iron mold to form the first ingot. It pours in a consistent pour, not too fast and not too slow. The same process is repeated for the second batch of gold, resulting in two large 14-karat gold bars. The third stage is the stretching process. At the next stage, each gold bar begins to stretch on a rolling mill. A rolling mill is a tool for metal forming. It is used to make metal sheets or wire. The principle of its operation is that metal is passed through it several times, compressing it more and more each time. With each pass through the rotating rollers, the gold bar is stretched further and becomes longer and longer. This process continues until the diameter of the rod matches the size of the chain being made. Since the metal is stretchable, it must be heated to a certain temperature in order to soften it. This is necessary so that it does not crack during the stretching process. In many parts of the video, you will see how the gold first heats up and then cools down. This process is called annealing and is used to reduce the hardness of the metal and make it easier to work with it. The fourth stage is the process of rounding the wire. With the help of a tape machine, the wire is pulled and rounded. The wire passes through the feed tray until the rounding process is completed. The thinner wire is pulled through the pull plate. It turns the wire from square to round and gives it the required diameter. The next step is winding the wire onto a spool. This process will require a lot of physical effort. It is necessary to wind gold wire around a copper rod of a suitable size to form a coil. And for making a gold chain of a smaller diameter, an electric drill is best suited. It allows you to quickly wind the gold wire, much faster than by hand. But for a large chain, 2 people will be required who do this work manually using 4 sets of fixing pliers. The 2 sets of spools are then cut on a bench lathe to make individual links. These links will later be woven into the Cuban chain. But a small spiral wire is cut with a piercing saw. The next stage is weaving the chain. After one ring is soldered, the next ring is unfolded with 2 pliers to insert it into the soldered ring. Gradually, all the blanks are soldered until a chain of the desired length is attained. Gold links are cleaned several times by immersing them in hot sodium bisulfite, an acid salt formed during the partial neutralization of sulfuric acid. This acidic solution is used several times throughout the manufacturing process to clean the surface of the gold. Individual links of a large chain are clamped in a vise. They open and connect together with an adjustable wrench. Gold solder is used to melt each link. If the heat is too high during the soldering process, the gold may melt and the chain will break. Conversely, if there is not enough heat, the solder will not melt properly, and breaks will appear in the circuit. The soldering process continues until the draft chain is ready. After some annealing, the chain is subjected to another bath of hot acid solution. The chain is then attached to an industrial twisting machine that generates torque at both ends in different directions. A thin chain is twisted by hand, holding it in a vise and at the same time using tightening pliers. Such twisting requires a lot of effort. With sufficient twisting, the individual links eventually align in the same plane. Any minor adjustments needed to align the links during the manufacturing process are made by hand using a wrench. The process of aligning the links is completed by repeatedly passing the chain through a rolling mill, which will finally align the links and make the chain hang absolutely straight. At this stage, a large Cuban chain was obtained, about 71 centimeters long and weighing about 2,700 grams. Some of the extra chain links were previously deferred in case some of them get damaged during further processing and need wool replace. The next step is leveling with a file. In order to fix the chain for its further processing, it is laid out on top of a wooden board, and then fixed with a special molten shellac resin. The board is then firmly secured with a vise, and one of the most time-consuming parts of the Cuban chain-making process begins, aligning the links with a file. This procedure allows you to create a round surface, as Cuban chains should be. The product acquires a larger surface and a cleaner look. The gold shavings and dust that falls during processing are collected and used to make other jewelry that will be made later. The next stage is leveling and polishing. This is where the skill of the jeweler comes into play, as a job well done can add just the right amount of symmetry and beauty to a finished chain. Finally, to further smooth the surface of the gold, Sandpaper with a grit of 220 and 320 is used. After that, the chain is removed from the board, and the process is repeated on the other side. Then proceeding to the polishing stage. It starts with inspection and pre-polishing with a rotary tool. Polishing is completed on a lathe with a grinding wheel. This is another tedious and time-consuming process, but it is necessary to create a beautiful and high-quality chain. After that, the chain must be through the final cleaning with ultrasound and steam. And it's time to work on a special clasp. The stage of creating a clasp or fastener. The fastener is also cast separately from a mixture of 14-karat gold and metal alloy to match the chain. Molten gold is poured into a plaster mold containing the wax mold of the various parts of the fastener. The hot gold melts the wax inside the cast, and when the plaster is washed off, only cast pieces of gold remain. After preparing and pre-polishing the main parts of the fastener, it's time to make the gold pin. The pin locks the lid in place and allows it to open and close. This process is similar to the one used in the beginning with 2 gold bars. But since the pin requires much smaller wire, a smaller rolling mill and drawing machine must be used. Before attaching the fastener to the chain, need to cut a piece from both end links past the midpoint. The cuts must be made at right angles, otherwise the clasp will not line up properly with the actual chain after it has been welded. Then time to welding 2 interconnected fastener sections to the end links. The addition of tiny diamonds to the fastener of such a large chain adds just the right finishing touch to such a piece. Stones on the edge of the fastener enliven the overall design. A few more finishing touches, some light polishing, and the fastener and chain are complete. Thus, a gold chain was attained, weighing approximately 2,086 grams and 72.5 centimeters long, including a diamond fastener. The width of the chain about 25 millimeters and the thickness was about 18 millimeters. As for the small chain, the fastener for it is 3D printed from wax and then cast from metal. After the ebb, the fastener has a rough surface, so it has to be filed and sanded. The lock has a mechanism that must work flawlessly. It is sanded until it is easy to put on and take off. In order to insert diamonds into the fastener, it is placed in a special putty, which hardens as it cools. The gemstones are 1.8 millimeters in size, and need to use a microscope to set them correctly. Each stone is pressed with a copper stick. Once the stones are in place, the craftsman uses a beading tool to press the metal groups onto the stones. The hardest part of setting the stones is to set them all straight so that the setting is even and clean. Then the parts are soldered to the bracelet. Before soldering, the entire lock is almost ready. Emeralds are set along the edges of the castle. At the last stage, the bracelet is polished. This is necessary to give shine to the metal and eliminate possible scratches. For this, a polishing machine is used. After polishing, the bracelet is placed in a bath for ultrasonic cleaning. This machine sends ultrasonic waves into the water with a cleaning solution that removes all the dirt. The result is a unique gold bracelet. Each jeweler has his own individual approach to making chains, which distinguishes their chain from others. In this case, the result is a bracelet where the emeralds and diamonds in the lock, forming the rose gold Nigerian flag, give it a unique look and design. I recommend you to watch our video about the best helicopters. From this video you will find out which helicopter can withstand even the hit of anti-aircraft missiles. And as proof of this you will see real footage from battlefield. And that's all for today. If you liked the video about golden Cuban chains, Please put your like and subscribe to the channel. See you soon. Bye.